Today we are talking about listings. A listing is a bilateral employment contract between a principal and a broker whereby the broker is employed by the principal to find a buyer and accept a deposit. It is the most essential element of an enforceable broker-principal relationship. A listing hires a broker to find a buyer, not to sell a house. This is an important distinction. First off, remember, the seller hires a broker to find a buyer, not an agent. People think they are hiring the agent because for all practical purposes, they kind of are, as that is who is soliciting the business and will be conducting the transaction. But in actuality, the agent is working on behalf of the broker. Therefore, when the house sells and the seller pays a commission, that commission is going to the broker, not the agent. The broker will then share that commission with the agent as per their agreement. The next big question people have is, if you're telling me that the listing agent is hired to find a buyer, then what does the agent of the buyer do? Think of it like this. The broker of the seller says to all the other brokers and their agents, I've been hired to find a buyer for Mr. Smith's property on Oak Tree Lane. If you have a buyer and they buy this property, I will share my commission with you for helping me fulfill my contract with Mr. Smith. That amount that is going to be shared must be disclosed to the seller. Now, in real life, they do not stand on a house and use a megaphone, but that is the gist of how it works. The more commonly accepted way is to put the property on the MLS. MLS stands for Multiple Listing Service. The MLS is a database of available properties listed by real estate agents. A listing agreement is a personal service contract. That means that should the principal or seller die, either party become emancipated, or the property is physically destroyed, such as by fire or natural disaster, the listing agreement is terminated. In short, remember this. A personal service contract needs the people involved who signed the contract. Therefore, you cannot assign the contract to another person. The broker and seller may mutually agree to end the listing agreement. Both the broker and seller also have mutual responsibilities. This is why it is a bilateral contract. Should a party breach their duty, the other party can terminate the listing. For example, the broker is usually responsible for advertising a property. If the broker fails to advertise the property, the seller could terminate the listing. A material change can also be caused to terminate the listing. A material change is something that would affect the value of the listed property. For example, when a property was listed, it was zoned residential. If the property then was changed to a commercial zone after the contract was signed, it would cause a material change and would terminate the listing agreement. Most listing contracts have a specific ending date. It can be as simple as, this contract will begin at 1 p.m. on January 1st and it will end at midnight on August 8th. Look at our types of listings section to see which ones would need a termination date. A listing contract contains many elements. You would want your listing to contain the following: names of the parties on the contract, the type of agency created, the broker's authorities and responsibilities, the location of the property, which may be a street address, legal description or tax parcel number, the listing price, beginning and end dates, real and personal property included, the commission to be paid, authorization to advertise, including the placement for a sale sign on the property, types of deeds used for conveyance, the terms for termination of the contract, an indemnification clause, fair housing and antitrust information, the signatures of the party authorized or performed, and the protection period clause. The protection period clause is also known as a safety clause, extended, or carryover clause. The purpose of this clause is to be able to close deals with buyers you found during the term of the listing. For example, let's say that last week you showed a property to a buyer on Thursday. The listing expired on Friday, then they come back and make an offer on Saturday. Uh-oh, what's going to happen? Well, don't worry, because you will still get paid because you were able to close the deal with the buyer you found during the term of the listing within the agreed upon time frame of the protection period clause. If a broker is interested in buying a property that he or she has listed, this provision needs to be included in the listing agreement. It is legal for an agent or broker to buy a property they are listing as long as the proper disclosures are made. This is called a listing with an option.